A lesson I learned in Mauritania. The soul of traveling is constant movement, but its heart is built of moments that feel like the world stopped turning. Moments where everything stands still and that we will remember forever. Explore the spirit of traveling with me and join my journey to Mauritania, the land of wind and poets, a country mostly covered in sand. Only 50 kilometers from the border on a peninsula is the city Nouadhibou, our goal for this night. It's not so hard to miss, just follow the lines of electricity and the railways. Like always when I start to explore a new country, the first thing I did was studying the behavior of the locals.
Good, how are you?
This is so amazing. Basically, there are only old Mercedes cars driving here in Nouadhibou. Nouadhibou is the second biggest city in Mauritania, and it's economical center. It means it has the biggest port. It's at the sea, of course, and it has a big railway station because it carries iron ore from the iron mines in Souarat, which is about 670 kilometers to the east from here.
When we entered a scenic campsite close to Nouadhibou, we knew little about what would happen in the desert of Mauritania and that all of our plans would have to change. Okay, my little friend, I go to toilet and you stay here, and if you don't move, nothing will happen to you. I promise. But stay in your corner. So today we're traveling from the town Nouadhibou to Mauritania's capital, Nouakchott. And the biggest challenge today is 500 kilometers without gas. And now we're having breakfast first. We filled up our spare canisters and then we go.
Like a whale without the sea, like a hive without the bee. That's how I feel without you. But oh, how I miss being with you. And oh, how I wish it wasn't true. And oh, how I wish you missed me too. But I know there's nothing I can do, nothing I can do, like cold November rain.
So just the start of another day of desert riding. We're going to Atar today, which is 500 kilometers. I hope there will be a gas station, but we brought us for some spare gas.
On our way through the desert, we came across typical Mauritanian houses that only have little windows to keep the burning heat and dust outside. The nomads normally live in tents though, to be able to move with their animals.
How to chase a goat in the desert.
The heat inland soon became unbearable, with temperatures being 40 degrees and above. To the rescue, one of my favorite items when riding in extremely hot weather for several hours, the cooling vest.
The biggest problem actually in the desert is to go pee, because there are these big roads that are actually not that big, but still cars come by every now and then. So you need to wait for the right time. So these are basically the biggest roads that there are in Mauritania.
Mauritania is the 5th least densely populated country in the world, and there is a safety travel warning for Mauritania by the Foreign Ministry of Germany, even though there has been no terrorist attacks recorded since 2011. Unlike countries like Germany, France, or the United States of America, that all suffered under terrorism in the recent years.
Now the landscape here changed completely. We decided to go off from the main road and visit a little oasis that is hidden here behind these little mountains, and afterwards we will go to our final destination, Atar. It's super beautiful now, but somehow I can only think about having a nice cold beer or a gin tonic. I guess that's the only downer here in this country, because Mauritania is officially the Islamic Republic Mauritania. It's a very Muslim country, so alcohol is strictly forbidden. You're not even allowed to bring any over the border for yourself, and even if I might sound like an alcoholic, I miss a cool gin tonic or wine in the evening. Yeah, that makes me a bit sad.
In the beginning, the road to the oasis was amazing, but after one of many military checkpoints, the drama started.
This is terrible. It's not only sand, but it's as well holes that somehow the bike sinks in.
The tannery just made it through the deep sand, but my travel partner got stuck with his Africa twin. The village was still hundreds of meters away, but everybody got alerted by all the noise we made and tried to help us. The guys trying to push the bike out, and me standing with the women and children of the village watching and laughing. This is Fred and his partner, who run the guest house L'Auberge de Caravan in the Terjit Oasis. Soon we realized that the Africa Twin had a burnt clutch and that we would not leave this oasis in the middle of the desert anytime soon. So after a little sand episode, you maybe can see it in my face, I'm completely red and sweaty. We arrived in Terjit, which is a beautiful little oasis here in Mauritania, and we're staying at a super nice camp. And this is our home for the night today. It's typical Mauritanian tikits. So I did a beautiful sunrise hike today. Behind me you can see the oasis of Terjit, and it's so beautiful. I'm gonna have a swim now. Nomads have always come to the oasis of Terjit to rest and escape from the burning heat. So it feels quite appropriate that our motorcycles exactly chose this place to break down. The crystalline water from the spring is drinkable, and there live thousands of small fish that are said to come from a time when this area was not a desert yet, but rivers still flowed through it. I forgot that I have to climb up all these mountains again before I'm reaching the swim. The next day, my travel partner had to wait for the mechanical genius from the next town who would visit the Oasis in order to fix his motorcycle. I decided to join two locals who were going to drive to the villages Atar and Chinguetti to visit some relatives. They told me that the round trip to Chinguetti would be around 3 hours and I would easily be back by lunchtime. So I just arrived in Atar. And it's the Independence Day of Mauritania, so there's a big celebration going on here today. Everybody dressed in either blue, green or orange. Yeah. So I now got how it's called, shesh?
Shesh.
Shesh? I got a professional shesh against the desert sand.
Are we going now? Chinguetti?
Si.
Chinguetti?
Chinguetti. Ça c'est la direction. Direction Chinguetti, Inshallah.
Direction Chinguetti, Inshallah, he said, which means, if God wills. And pretty quick it turned out that God for sure didn't want us to reach the destination too fast. Now we're stuck with our car in the middle of the desert. I guess the guys are working on it. Two of them now are figuring out what to do. Hope it will go quick. Only 2 hours later, we were back on the road again, and I got a lesson how to tie the traditional headscarf. Everything was perfect until... There is a Mauritanian saying, "Who doesn't travel will not appreciate the value of people." After the two guys fixed the car a second time and we finally reached Chinguetti, I felt like I had never appreciated anyone more than them. So that's the mosque of Chinguetti. It's basically only for men, but you're allowed to see it. I think it looks quite beautiful. The mosque is the most important building in Chinguetti and perhaps in all of Mauritania. Every year, thousands of people gathered to set out on the pilgrimage to Mecca. For this reason, Chinguetti was long considered the seventh holy city of Islam. But in the last decades, the sand of the desert started to bury the buildings. Many people left their homes, and at one point, the town might be buried forever. Even though it's a UNESCO World Heritage and home of several ancient libraries that preserve texts since the 9th century. Of course, we didn't directly go back to the Oasis, but stopped in the town Atar again to do some shopping. The only problem, prayers just started, so we had to wait for another hour.
It's too bad she'll never know.
Serbia?
Yeah, I can't tell her how I feel, because she has someone who makes her happy. I'm a ghost in these walls, or at least I try to be. Cause I hope that I'm not showing how I feel for her, but she won't feel the same for me.
At sunset, we finally returned to the Oasis. Our 3 hours round trip in the end was a 12 hours adventure. After 3 days, we still couldn't find anyone to fix the Africa Twin. We cancelled all of our other plans and put the motorcycle on a pickup truck to bring it to a proper garage in the capital, Nouakchott. Yeah, it's like a camel.
So when you need friends, you find them everywhere.
Just wanna go. Just wanna go away from here. I've got my tentacles about tonight. Anyway, you're gonna wonder.
In Nouakchott, we left the Africa Twin at the best garage in town. The guide assured us that the bike will be ready the next morning. The bikes are packed and we're going to leave Mauritania today for Senegal. We're taking the border crossing over Diama, which is a small border and should be quite uncomplicated. Some of the last shots in Mauritania before going to Senegal. And on the way to the border of Senegal, the desert changed a lot. Now there's a lot of dunes and little tree and the flat here. Thanks for joining the journey through Mauritania. The next episode will take us to Senegal, where we had to deal with the burnt clutch and visas before taking off to a fantastic excursion. Give me a thumbs up and leave a comment if you liked this episode and subscribe to be part of the upcoming journey.